actual kneel. I will not.
Damn!
There's just nothing better than a fiery female lead who doesn't step away from a good comeback. Red Queen is giving us just that. Hey everyone, I'm Maven, a 21-year-old medical student from Tunisia, and I have way too many book opinions to keep to myself. So welcome back to another rant. Today we're diving into Red Queen. Let's get into it. Divided by their blood and their powers, Reds and Silvers live in completely different worlds. Reds are commoners, leading humble lives and serving the Silvers, who are magical creatures with unique abilities. Mare is a red girl from the poverty-stricken stilts. She possesses a power her kind never exuded before her, and she is a threat to a hierarchy built on centuries of oppression and inequality. There's a war between two kingdoms, and the Reds are paying the price. After the Silvers find out who she is, they hide her in plain sight. And their first mistake is thinking she's going to sit there and take it. For Mare is a brave girl willing to do what is necessary for change, and that is bad news. The Scarlet Guards is an organization led by Vali, and they are recruiting more and more members to take down the regime. Although, by the looks of it, there's no test of loyalty for this sort of recruitment. They are desperate, and desperate people make foolish decisions. Mare happens to be one of the people they recruit, and she is tasked with being the face of the revolution. For her existence is sheer proof that Reds and Silvers can and must live together with equal opportunity and equal rights. There is nothing like a good plot with a well-written female character in the center of it all. From the Hunger Games to the ACOTAR series to the Shatter Me series to Red Queen, they all have that in common, which made me reflect a little. Reading about these female characters, how important they are to the story, made me ask myself a few questions. I consider myself a strong-willed individual. I'm confident, and I'd like to say I'm smart and essential to the people in my life. But if I lived in Feyre's world, or Mare's, or even Katniss Everdeen's or Juliette's, I don't think I'd be the main character. The story wouldn't revolve around me. I'd be more of a passive extra than anything else. I wouldn't wish to change the regime of the re-establishment like Juliette, I wouldn't dare to challenge Amarantha, and I wouldn't be able to be the face of the Scarlet Guards like Mare was. And I would volunteer in the place of my sister, but I wouldn't be able to kill anybody in the Hunger Games. If I slipped and fell into these imaginary worlds, I'd be praying to God, maintaining my faith and trying to survive. Unless the fight is at my front door, I'm keeping quiet. Thankfully, we live in a world that is less intense than what we're reading, but it isn't so different either. The stakes are lower, thank God, but the principle remains the same. And the question is, are you the type to sit tight and ride the wave, or are you the type to fight? For me, it depends on the cause. I'd like to think that when it matters most, I'd be up for it and brave enough to speak up. But again, I don't live an unfair, intense life. I am very blessed, alhamdulillah. I have a beautiful family. I don't live in a country where there's an active war. My issues are frivolous in comparison to what some have to deal with. It's easy to sit back in our comfortable homes and think it's an obvious choice to fight for what you believe in. But the amount of courage and faith in God and His plan for us it takes is unfathomable. I just can't thank God enough that I lead a peaceful life and that my biggest problems aren't food, shelter, or if I'm going to wake up to a bombing in the morning. Reading stories like these reminds you how generous God truly is. It is easy to feel ungrateful and lose sight of what we have, especially with social media and the constant comparisons. But if there's a message I want you to take home is this. This life is the journey to the final destination. It never was the point. I know not everybody believes in the afterlife or in God, but to those who do, praise His name, feel His blessings, and see how your life, although unchanged, starts to feel lighter and brighter. Well, enough of the hard-hitting stuff, okay? And back to our story. Guys, listen, I'm a simple woman. I love me a good plot, some high stakes and interesting politics, but you gotta sprinkle in a little romance on top of it. Like a little side glance, a hand thrown in here and there, a few smiles, and I'll miss you Mare moment, for example. It lightens the story and makes it less tense. And Red Queen is serving a never-before-seen triangle. That thing is tangled like a web of strings. Why do they always have to be brothers? Why? I can't support either that way. They're both good men in their own ways. Cal is this calm presence, black cat type guy. He's very loyal to his family and to his realm. He's a good soldier and a rational person. Maven is this kind, moral person who believes in change and equality. He's hopeful, maybe too hopeful for his own good. At this point of the story, he joins the Scarlet Guards alongside Mare, and together with Farley, they plot for a coup d'etat. But for the plan to work, they need Cal's legion, his army. Not only that, they need Cal to betray everything he's ever known. They need Daddy's boy to make his father kneel and surrender. All relies on the hopes that he loves Mare enough to do that. And if that sounds to you like the most stupid, naive plan in the whole world, then you are absolutely validated in this channel. Cal is not a villain, although Mare would love nothing more than to convince herself of that. Cal is a victim. He is doubtful. He wants change, but is afraid to hope for it. You need to understand that going up against a flawed regime is easier when that regime isn't upheld by your own family. Even though him giving everything up for Mare's sake would have saved the world, it would have also made me not respect him. Because how can he turn his back on everything he's ever known for a girl he met a month ago? Come on, my guy is too complicated a character to be that shallow. And I think with a little more time we could have gotten to him. Maven has less eyes on him, less expectations, less responsibility. It made the thought of change plausible to him, because he doesn't understand its implications. Sure, he is generous, lovely, and gentle, but do you know what is the most attractive thing in a man? Intelligence. And Maven's lack of judgment and naivety may have gotten them in an ugly situation. On page 332, Mare says, I forced his hand. I made him choose. I was eager. I was stupid. I let myself hope. I am a fool. Indeed you are, Mare. Indeed you are. And only a fool would have been so blind to not see it coming. Maven says, you told me to find a cause, father, and I did. Are you proud of me? That line, that coldness, that bitterness, that indifference to consequences, I highlighted it. It made an echo in my mind. It made me question everything I knew of Maven. But because the story was moving on too quickly, I couldn't process what it meant. Reading further along, it all makes sense now. His eagerness to push Mare to manipulate Cal, the easiness in which he was willing to betray his own, kill his own, him playing dumb, it was all part of his plan. It's just a game for the throne. I knew it from the start. I swear to God, I knew the Scarlet Guard's eagerness to recruit members without testing their loyalties would bite them in the butt. And that is just what happened. But Elara, the queen, controlling Cal's mind and making him execute his own father is something I never imagined in my wildest dreams. What? My tears were streaming, my heart was aching. Forget ACOTAR's plot twist, forget Shatter Me. This has my jaw dropping to levels I never saw before. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Cal and Mare are captured, and while they are waiting for trial, Maven visits. There's a line he says that struck me like lightning, pun intended. I could set this world on fire and call it rain. To some, that may be just a cruel poetic thing that a villain said in a beautifully tragic story. However, that line hurt me, not because it's evil, but because it is so true for so many governments around the world. Like it or not, we live in a race for power, and people have strayed far away from the meaning of life, gripping it like it's the only thing they'll ever know. That is why I encourage people to look inwards. That is why I encourage people to find faith. Preferably Islam, because I'm Muslim, but anything that grounds you is very important. I could set this world on fire and call it rain. Let it sit with you. Think of all the moments we were blatantly lied to, but were forced to keep quiet because we felt helpless, we felt weak. Red Queen isn't just a dystopian fantasy YA book. It is a mirror image of our world dressed up in romance and plot twists. Whether she meant to or not, Victoria painted a painfully accurate picture of our reality. Now for the ending. Cal and Mare are put on trial against 5 other Silvers. Miraculously, they escape thanks to Mare's abilities, Cal's fire, and Farley's help. In the end, Maven is king, Mare and Cal are on the run, and they hold a shared thought. I will kill him. The final line of the book. Is your mind blown? Because mine is cattered, battered, and shattered. Those last 100 pages are unlike anything I've read before. I'm going to give this book a 4.5 stars rating. The ending is a 5 stars for me, but it is the first book of the series. It has a slow pace in the middle that you just need to get through and endure. Guys, I'm scared to finish the series because of what happened to me with Shatter Me and ACOTAR. I fear disappointment. I don't want to give Victoria a chance to ruin these characters for me. I love them so much. What do you guys think? Should I give it a chance? Should I not? Were you Team Cal from the start? Did you see the Maven villain arc coming, or were you oblivious like me? Leave your comments below, I want to hear all about it. Stay tuned for next week's video, and I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.